We have already somewhat considered the problem of the 426 cleavages to which man is subject, and we saw that the human evolutionary process was, in the last analysis, a series of at-one-ments. Each step forward meant the bringing together of certain types of energy in order that their fusion might produce a more complete person. May I state here an interesting point? The problem itself is brought about by the fact that there is an observer. This observer, at certain points in the normal development of the man, comes to the realization that there are cleavages. This observer suffers because of their existence in his self-awareness. He realizes that he is the victim of the divisions in his nature. Yet, and this is of importance, the man upon the physical plane is unable either to understand them or, apparently, to heal them without aid from the soul, the observer, the higher aspect of himself. For instance, a man suffering from dissociation between the emotional, sentient part of himself and the mental aspect is aware of need, of frustration and of intense suffering and difficulty, yet needs the understanding help of a trained psychologist, or of his own soul before fusion can be made and he, as an individual, can be made whole. The esoteric psychology II. The essential attitude for you to cultivate is that of the one who looks on, that of the beholder, the perceiver, and the observer, leading, upon the path of discipleship, to that of the interpreter. In these words I give you the keynote of your present soul cycle, which will cover several incarnations, but which will eventually release you and send you forth as one who can prepare to tread the path of the revealer of wisdom. I would remind you in this connection, that the second ray expression falls into two categories, wisdom and love. For you, it must be the way of wisdom. Ponder upon the significance of wisdom. Your egoic ray being the second and your personality ray, the fifth, you will note how thoroughly equipped you are for your undertaking in this life. This, it is of assistance to know. In the next instructions, when I shall indicate to you the rays governing the threefold personality, you will then have before you the 5 rays with which you are concerned in this life and which are instrumental in laying the foundation for your next life. You will then understand still more clearly. In the meantime, work steadily at the assumption of the position of the observer, making it a habit of your life. To this end, you will find attached to this instruction a review on the attitude of the observer which may be of assistance to you as you prepare for work in this group and for the gradual development of your psychic powers. Discipleship in the New Age I. The processes of registration are founded upon what I might call indicative approaches from a wide area of possible contacts. The disciple has to learn to distinguish between these many impacts upon his sensitive aura. In the early stages the majority of them are unconsciously registered, though the registration is acute and accurate. The goal, nevertheless, is conscious registration. This is brought about through the constant and steady holding of the attitude of the observer. It is developed through the attainment of detachment, the detachment of the observer from all desires and longings which concern the separated self. It will therefore be obvious to you that the use of the word observer involves the concept of duality, and, therefore, of separation. In this case, however, the motive prompting observation is not self-interest, but the determination to clarify the aura so that it can register only 102, that which will be illuminating and related to the divine plan, which will be to the benefit of humanity, and, therefore, to the creation of a new server within the ashrams of the hierarchy. Telepathy and the etheric vehicle. A completed point of view. This necessarily and primarily refers to the universal outlook of the monad, and therefore to an initiate of the higher degrees. It can, however, be interpreted on a lower rung of the ladder of evolution and refers to the function of the soul as an observer in the three worlds and the completed all-round picture such an observer gradually attains. This is brought about by the development of the two qualities of detachment and discrimination. These two, 674, qualities, when expressed on the way to the higher evolution, become abstraction and the will to good. A completed point of view, as experienced on soul levels, indicates the removal of all barriers, and the freedom of the disciple from the great heresy of separateness. He has therefore created an unclogged channel for the inflow of pure love. Perfect poise, viewed from the same level, has removed all impediments, and those emotional factors which have hitherto blocked the channel, thus preparing the way for the observer to see truly. The disciple then functions as a clear channel for love. Esoteric healing. These 3 basic requirements concern attainment on various planes of the universe. Though I dealt with them in connection with the approach to the 6th initiation, they have, on lower turn of the spiral, their correspondences, and are therefore of practical application by the initiated disciple, particularly one who has taken the third initiation. Let us take them, one by one, into our thinking. 1. Perfect poise. 2. A completed point of view. This necessarily, and primarily refers to the universal outlook of the monad, and therefore to an initiate of the higher degrees. It can, however, be interpreted on lower rung of the ladder of evolution and refers to the function of the soul as an observer in the three worlds and the completed all-round picture such an observer gradually attains. This is brought about by the development of the two qualities of detachment and discrimination. These two, 674, qualities, when expressed on the way to the higher evolution, become abstraction and the will to good. A completed point of view, as experienced on soul levels, indicates the removal of all barriers, and the freedom of the disciple from the great heresy of separateness. He has therefore created an unclogged channel for the inflow of pure love. Perfect poise, viewed from the same level, has removed all impediments, and those emotional factors which have hitherto blocked the channel, thus preparing the way for the observer to see truly. The disciple then functions as a clear channel for love. 3. Divine understanding. Esoteric healing. I will give you now a personal meditation which will serve, I hope, to lift the life of the astral body out of the solar plexus into the heart center, thus breaking down some of the limitations which will disappear when the astral body and the sixth ray astral force are transmuted and love of the whole takes the place of love of the part. 1. Take up the position mentally of the observer. Your fourth ray mind should enable you to observe with detachment the conflict between the personality and the soul. 2. Then, noting the dim light of the personality and the bright radiance of the soul, observe in another duality, i.e., the bright and powerful light or influence of the solar plexus and the wavering, fluctuating light of the heart center. 687. 3. Then, through the power of the imagination, focus your consciousness in the radiant soul and hold it there steadily, linking the soul and the head center, again by the power of thought. 4. Then sound the Om 3 times, breathing out the energy of the soul into the threefold personality, and bringing that energy to rest, as in the reservoir of force, in the Ajna center. There hold it, enhancing the light of the personality with the radiance of the soul. 5. Next say, the light of the soul puts out the dim light of the personality, as the sun puts out the flame of a small fire. Soul radiance takes the place of personality light. The sun is substituted for the moon. 6. Then, definitely throw the light and energy of the soul into the heart center, and believe, through the power of the creative imagination, that it evokes such a powerful, vibratory activity that it acts like a magnet in relation to the solar plexus. The energy of the solar plexus is lifted up or drawn up into the heart center and is there transmuted into soul love. 7. Then still as the observer, see the reversal of the earlier process. The solar plexus is dimmed. The radiance of the heart is substituted. The light of the soul remains unchanged, but the light of the personality is greatly brightened. 8. Then again as the soul, united with the personality, sound the Om 7 times, breathing it out into your environment. This, my brother, is more of a visualization exercise than a meditation, but its efficacy is dependent upon your ability as a spiritual observer to preserve mental continuity as you do it. Energy follows thought, and this is the basis of all occult practice, and is of prime significance in this exercise. You will discover that if you do this exercise with regularity and with no biased ideas to results, that changes will be 688 wrought in your consciousness of the lasting nature, and the light of the group will also be stronger. Discipleship in the New Age. The difficulty in distinguishing between thought and emotion is due entirely to two things. 1. The point in evolution of the observer, which determines very largely the field of his observation and the focus of his directed attention. 2. The present status of the human race. Most of humanity is not, at present, thinking but is actively feeling. The quality of mind, which is primarily discrimination, is largely lacking in the bulk of mankind. The quality of emotion is however becoming understood, as the mind develops. It is the result of a measure of discrimination, which enables the observer to realize that he is undergoing an emotion, or passing through an emotional crisis. This emotion is, in its turn, the result of sensory perception. There can be much feeling reaction without emotion. There can be no emotion, as a result of feeling, without some measure of mental unfoldment and of thought being present. Therefore, the relation between thought and feeling is called by us emotion. Your question is therefore answered by saying, in a large and general way, that feeling can be, and frequently is, present where there is no thought at all. But when thought enters in, then the result of the interplay between thought and feeling is the production of emotion. Tilde discipleship in the New Age II. The next passage, although relatively longer than those above and seemingly only mentioning the observer, in passing, provides a greater context, which perhaps will help in differentiating out some aspects of one's practice and organize the various aspects, or types of seeing/vision, and as stated, providing hints or direction for the practitioner. Here is a hint, as to the need for occult obedience. I have the responsibility of indicating to you the work I want done, and the steps to be taken. You subsequently have to do the work. Most of you, living normally as you do in the world of effects and not in the world of causes, are preoccupied with the possible results, and the phenomenal differences, if I might call them so, which are expected by you to eventuate from the work. Therefore, instead of concentrating upon exactitude of work, and meticulous obedience, your energy goes into the thought of what will happen, into the consideration of the difficulties of the work, and into your belief that no results are demonstrating in your particular case. Primarily what I am doing in giving you these formulas is to aid you to work in the world of causes, and so draw you consciously out of the world of effects. Therefore, I would ask you to do the indicated work, to concentrate your minds upon these formulas of power, working without attachment, as the Shiva expresses it, and refrain from looking for results, knowing that they will be there, though unrecognized by you, until your focus is more definitely subjective. I did not say introspective, my brother, but subjective. To be an introvert really means that you, as a thinking personality, are always looking into your inner feeling and thought life. That is not living subjectively. It is living as an outer observer who looks within. To live subjectively means that the focus of your consciousness is within, and that from that point you look in two directions. Outward at the personality upon the physical plane, and inward at the soul. Ponder on this. The distinction is very real and one that you should grasp. The man who knows the difference between living an introspective life and a subjective life is well on the way to being a true esotericist. Let us look for a minute at Formula 1 and seek its 265 simplest interpretation, and yet an advanced one from the angle of the neophyte, which you should not be. I will take one or two general ideas which emerge from an analysis of the whole, and then a few sentences which, when interpreted, may throw light upon certain basic and practical significances. I would first have you note the emphasis upon the I in this formula. It is a keynote, and appears in various guises. Behind all the ideas lies the concept of seeing, of a seeing one, looking on at the created whole. The same concept is to be found in the fundamental Masonic symbol of the eye of God, which dominates everything within the temple. In this formula we have 1. The eye of God. Shiva is the first person of the Trinity, the destroyer, but at the same time the final absorber, the whole and yet the part. This is the organ of the divine will or power, the eye, through whose directed gaze the power flows outward to its created whole. In the case of the human spirit, it is the monad. 2. The eye of vision, indicating this time not the directing energy, but the conscious observer, the soul, whether cosmic, solar or human. 3. The eye that knows. This is the disciple who, from stage to stage, reacts increasingly to the direction of the spiritual will and to the growth of sensitive response, and in both his brain and his mind consciousness in the three worlds knows that knowledge is limited in the neophyte, deepening in the disciple, and profound in the master, but it is all related to vision. 4. At the same time this formula tells us that there are 4 eyes. A. One made of fire, the eye of God. B. One fluid as the sea, the eye of vision. C. And 2 which look from here to there, the eye that knows. These are the eye of the disciple, and the eye of the personality. There is a clue to this in the statement in the secret doctrine that the right eye, 266, is the eye of Buddhi, and the left eye the eye of Manas. These are the eyes of the high-grade integrated personality, en rapport with the soul. D. Fire, water and the earth all need the vital air. The air is life. The clue again to this is to be found in the secret doctrine, I.80, where we find the words, matter is the vehicle for the manifestation of soul on this plane of existence, and soul is the vehicle on the higher plane for the manifestation of spirit, and these 3 are a trinity, synthesized by life, which pervades them all. You can see, therefore, upon careful reflection how simple this matter is, exoterically considered, and how the key to understanding lies in conscious identification with all 3, both sequentially through growth and simultaneously through initiation. I have here given you an occult hint. Secondly, I would have you note how this formula refers to the antikana. 1. A line of fire between 2 blazing points, the monad and the soul. 2. A line, emerging from the earth and ending in the ocean, referring to the sutratma which, when the antikana is completed, blends all types of consciousness, spirit and matter, into one living whole, the ultimate reality. These are some of the more obvious significances. Deeper ones will emerge, when these are realities, and not speculative theories in your life. It will be apparent to you consequently the need for definite work upon the instructions given you upon the Antikana. In connection with the above, I would call your attention to some words I wrote in my last instruction to you in reference to Formula 2. I there said that alignment will be our next consideration when Formula 1 has brought about certain changes in consciousness. I shall not consider these formulas at present. I will only point out their major implications, which will be seldom what you think, conditioned as you are by the terms and interpretations of the lower concrete mind. 267. Discipleship in the New Age. If you will think out these imparted facts with care, you will see that the bringing together of the personality ray and the ray governing your physical body presents you with a very definite problem. It produces an over-interest and over-emphasis upon the form side of manifestation and group expression. This leads to a devotion to the known forms. It is this, 468, focusing of your personality ray which is the psychic cause of the headaches to which you have been prone. Mistake me not here, my brother. I do not say that you have undue interest in form, as it affects your personality. You are definitely the observer and look out upon the world distressed. Your ray combinations lead to a quick reaction to the existent forms instead of leading to a long-range vision of the plan, such as your soul ray can give. You need increasingly to focus yourself in the soul, and less in the personality consciousness. This will produce the expression of love through devotion to all men as souls, and not of devotion to forms and methods which your personality ray approves. Discipleship in the New Age. Cooperation, movement, dynamic effort and then withdrawing, such is your future task under my plan. This you must do in collaboration with others, with the new groups which have a new psychological outlook and the right technique of meditation. It is group work that the world needs at this time, and an increasing fusion of souls and of the units in the various groups which are colored by the attitude that will distinguish the coming civilization. I think you comprehend well what I mean and what I am asking. You have already made a beginning along this somewhat peculiar line. The duty of the hierarchical observer, such as myself, is only to indicate, after the fact, thus not infringing the free will of the person, that the action taken is in line with soul intent. This is ever in line with hierarchical intent. This, I therefore, do. 593. Discipleship in the New Age.